at the end of a very long day, you must be longing for something stimulating, exciting, and easygoing. I should think that legal English is hardly the right. But I can offer you 29 hard minutes with me and 1 minute, one exciting minute, with Mr. Steve Miller, attorney at law. This is a real guy and he's a real legal professional. And this is not a fake, this is actually a commercial that was broadcast on American television.
Hi, I'm Steve Miller. I've been a trial lawyer in Florida and Massachusetts since 1985. If you and your spouse hate each other like poison and want to get out of the hellhole you call a marriage, you've come to the right place. Look, you can waste your money screwing around with some paper pusher paralegal type, give thousands of dollars to some piece of crap three-piece suit downtown, blow your brains out trying to figure out why you wasted 25 bucks on the crappy forms you bought from the illiterate boob at the courthouse, or do what I say and do it now. We know what we're doing here. Look at this website, a work of art. Here's the story. Pay us a little and we get you a lot. Don't worry about the details. We'll take care of business and let you know when to crack open the champagne. Okay, time to move on. Go to the Get the Divorce page in the upper right corner, pay up, and you're on your way to getting rid of that vermin you call a spouse. We're here to help. Divorce EZ, a Florida law firm.
Whoa!
Hi, I'm Steve Miller.
Do you have his phone number? Do you get a commission?
No, I don't. Okay, my name is Mustu. I'm a language trainer based in Düsseldorf, Germany, and I specialize in legal English. Actually, this presentation wasn't supposed to take place because I submitted a paper, English for Tax Professionals, because I wrote a book for tax professionals, and I'm going to present that tomorrow. What happened was, there were a number of cancellations from speakers, and then they just asked around, could you repeat your session? And I said, well, I could, but my topic, English for Tax Professionals, is so specific. I don't think it merits another session, but I can offer you a wonderful presentation on legal English. And they were happy, because they could just put on another topic. And of course, also it's the only presentation, the only talk on legal English at this conference. The other thing I have to say is, don't worry, the clip I've just shown you is not part of my presentation. I'm not going to explore or analyze the language used in that clip. I just wanted to give you something exciting and stimulating. And of course, legal language is also shaped by legal professionals, and this is one of them, obviously. So it's not a fake, it's a real commercial and a real guy. This is what I'm about to offer you, I hope. Yes. I'm going to talk about developments in professional English in recent years, just to show you what an amazingly dynamic field ESP in general and legal English in particular is. Then I will talk about a problem which I and many practitioners have with materials on the market. And then I will show you some approaches how to tackle the problem. So let's start with developments in professional English. This is a survey I'd like to show you that was conducted in Germany 5 years ago. And it was a significant survey with 20,000 respondents. So they asked people, what language skills do you need in your job? And they could answer none. General language skills and technical language skills. Technical, of course, referring to that what we are talking about here today, ESP. And then they broke it down in fields, industries, or professions. Down here you have the overall average of 16%. That doesn't seem to be a lot, but if you look at the legal administrative, which is the field we are looking at, we have about every third person who said, yes, I need technical language skills for my job. And since 20,000 respondents were taken into account here, this was certainly a significant survey. Another development in terms of training, there are loads of providers in the market that offer legal English courses. Now, I'm not going to show you these providers because there are loads of them. But it doesn't stop there. This is a thing that popped up in Germany last year in Munich called ABLE, Academy for Better Legal English. So this is a provider who does nothing but legal English training. They offer seminars, day seminars throughout Germany. I actually checked them out to find out it's a one-man show. But nevertheless, they are there, so people get the idea to explore this field of legal English just by coming up with an idea called Academy for Better Legal English. I live and teach in Germany, so I'm going to make reference to some examples from Germany, but you might as well find these examples in other countries, because legal English is definitely a very dynamic topic. The Forum Institute is one of the largest training providers of Germany. They usually aim at high potentials, executives, and they have a lot of stuff in their program, usually in business administration, management, and law. Not soft skills. Soft skills is only a very small part, but what they offer is, they offer 2-day seminars in legal English and contracting in English. And this is something that might come as a surprise to some of you, especially those who live in Germany. There are institutions called the Volkshochschule, something like a state-funded, non-profit organization, training organization for adults, so that's tertiary education. And there are several of these schools throughout Germany that offer courses or seminars in legal English. And of course, legal professionals in Germany will never get the idea that such courses are offered by these institutions. Again, it doesn't stop there. Even the German bar associations, the national one and also some local ones, they offer courses in legal English. Actually, the local bar here in Stuttgart, they have a course called English for Lawyers and Assistants. It's of course debatable whether you should put these people into one group, but it's just a course that's just there. So it's a clear reaction to demand that is in the market. Finally, we shouldn't forget the university level. There are so-called legal English or language and law programs throughout Germany. And it's actually compulsory to take one lecture in English. It has been compulsory for a number of years at all German universities and all German law faculties to do that. And there are several universities that actually have quite a sophisticated language and law program that runs for 2 years, 4 semesters. And students can get a special certificate if they do this. Materials. This is a big thing. If you look at the publications put out in recent years, this is just a selection of them. We have 3 books from Cambridge up there on the first line, followed by Delta's Absolute Legal English, Rupert Hayes Legal English. And then on the second line, we have more specialized books. You know, the focus on contract and company law or correspondence. You have the market leader, you have a Cambridge IATEFL preparation. And the bottom line are just some examples from Germany. So there are also a number of German publishers, so national publishers, not only international ones, that try to explore the field of legal English. And that's not all of them. It's just a selection that I'm showing you here. Online resources, for example, Translegal's online dictionary. Everybody in Germany knows Leo. But there's, for example, this is a monolingual dictionary. It comes with entries, of course, just like a dictionary, but then they give you sample sentences, actually. And each sentence has an audio file, you know, so you can click on that, and somebody will read it to you. Also an interesting example from Germany. The Federal Ministry of Justice maintains a website with all the laws in Germany. And if you look on the left-hand side, there is a button Translations. And if you click on that, you get quite a bit of German laws, statutes, acts of parliament in English. And this is an initiative by the German government, actually, to become more international and to make Germany more attractive also as a place of jurisdiction. So there's quite a lot up there. And again, it doesn't stop there. There is the Center for German Legal Information, even more comprehensive. Everything in English. On the left-hand side, you have legislation, you have decisions, materials. So there's an awful lot to explore. In fact, this is a huge database. They have 300 German laws here in English, 300 acts, or sometimes also ordinances. And it's alphabetical, and you can access it. So when you are teaching professionals that work in a specific area, you might as well tell them that they can do some training on their own by reading this. Finally, I shouldn't miss the German Law Archive, just to give you 3 examples. GLA, German Law Archive. Again, quite a few acts in English here, but this website is not updated. So a lot of stuff is dated actually, and it's not particularly user-friendly. But the first 2 are great resources.
Sorry, Patrick, I missed the second one. One was that you have...
One was the Ministry of Justice.
Right, and
the other one was the Center for German Legal Information. We looked at training and materials, exams. Now these abbreviations, some of you might know, they all stand for another exam. The first 2 lines are the Cambridge exams, the general and the business English exams. On the 3rd line we have the LCCI qualifications, then we have TOEIC and TOEFL, the classic assessment tests, and the bottom line again, German exams. Although TOEIC are the European language certificates, they're taken throughout Europe, but they're developed in Germany. And here in the middle, we have 2 exams, ICFI and ILEC. Cambridge put them up just 7 years ago, and these exams aim actually at certain professionals. That's the International Legal English Certificate and the International Certificate in Financial English. And when I mention these, I should also mention TOEFL, that's the test of legal English skills. That's also a widespread legal English test. And then, of course, recognition is important. Cambridge maintains a website showing which organizations and companies officially recognize or use ILEC. The list for Germany looks pretty small, but it's still there. But there are great differences from country to country. The list for Poland looks like this. Of course, if you want to compare it, you have to downsize the German. And then you get a rough idea. So there are great differences from country to country. But there is official recognition of ILEC, and I guess that is important. Finally, political initiatives. The German government published a brochure called Law Made in Germany a couple of years ago, bilingual, German and English, aiming at promoting Germany, German law, German courts. So they explain all the advantages of the German legal system. What a lot of people didn't know was that this was a reaction to another brochure published by the British government in conjunction with the Law Society of England and Wales called England and Wales, the Jurisdiction of Choice. Same thing. Promoting England, promoting common law, and of course outlining the advantages of a common law system. Very interesting. What this led to, in the case of Germany, is that they want to allow English as a court language in Germany. In fact, there has been a pilot project going on in North Rhine-Westphalia, where they have 3 courts in Cologne, Bonn and Aachen, where English is allowed if the parties choose. I'm going to show you what can happen there when you have a courtroom full of non-native speakers. Of course, there were 3 judges in the first hearing, 2 German lawyers and a Belgian lawyer. And they struggled. And I'm going to show you this. There wasn't a lot of media coverage, I have to say, but there was an interpreter in the courtroom. Not as an interpreter, because it was in English, just in the audience. And she wrote a little report on it, and this is really, really interesting. So, have a look. So this was the case. On the next slide, you can see the language problems. All right. So I'm not going to comment on this, it's just an example, and this is possible. And there's a draft bill before German Parliament at the moment to allow this throughout Germany. The requirements being it has to be a cross-border matter, an international commercial matter, and the parties must waive their right to an interpreter. If they say that's okay, they can go ahead. So this is actually being discussed at the moment, to have it nationwide. To sum up the first part of my talk, there is a growing demand, clearly demonstrated by what I've shown you, also a growing supply, otherwise it would be a bit strange, in terms of training, materials and exams, and even political initiatives. And here comes my dilemma. And I hope, are there any legal English teachers here? Wonderful. Do you know this gentleman, by any chance? Do you know this gentleman? By any chance? No? He's an English guy. His name is Lord Denning. Yeah. Alfred Thompson Denning, commonly referred to as Lord Denning, the most influential, most cited, most famous English judge of the 20th century, maybe of all time. This is him in his official uniform. And he is quoted in almost every legal English book. Yeah? Lord Denning. He passed away 13 years ago at the age of 100. And he was Master of the Rolls, which is the most senior judge in England, for 20 years. So you can imagine that he left behind a certain legacy. This is not going to be a quiz, but one more question. Does anybody know this building? Try.
It's on the bank radio.
Almost. It's the US Supreme Court. And these are the US Supreme Court judges. Actually, they are called justices. With Chief Justice John Roberts sitting right in the middle. Why am I showing you these pictures? I could say, legal language is shaped by people, and these are some of the people that shape the language. But in fact, I have 3 quotations for you now. 3 quotations out of many that come from students, legal practitioners. And this is what they say. Third quotation comes straight from Business Spotlight. In fact, in a letter to the editor, somebody wrote this, and it points exactly in the same direction. Where is the relevance for my work? Why don't you give me the tools that enable me to explain national law in English? Because all these people, whether they're in Germany, Italy, Poland, wherever, they advise on local law. They have to explain it to the international English-speaking clients. And it's not the English court system or American contract rules that they need to explain, but local principles and rules. In fact, when you look at some of the books that I just showed you, you can see it, one page on the civil law system, and then you have the common law, the doctrine of stare decisis, and res judicia, obiter dicta, and jury, petit and grand jury, and all these wonderful things. A lot of case law, of course. Another book talks at great length about equity. Another one, again, on common law, principle of binding precedent, and Butterworth's all in the law reports. This is the table of contents of yet another book. You can see Unit 2 here, Landmarks in Law, Lord Denning and the 20th century English law. There he is, Lord Denning. And then we have the Theft Act in one unit. We have consideration in Unit 6, which is a big deal in common law, not a big deal in civil law countries. And even one of the pages I found more useful. This is one on employment law, and I teach a lot of employment lawyers. Even there, I mean, there's a lot of useful terminology in here, but even there you have to select, because down here they talk about constructive dismissal, and this is something that doesn't exist in Germany. In fact, it's quite bewildering to German lawyers when you talk about constructive dismissal. So even some of the more useful stuff, you still have to be very careful. You don't bother them with things that are just not relevant. Approaches. Now, I'm going to tell you how I do it. And this is a classic situation, a client interview. So of utmost importance for my students is conducting client interviews. And I think you have to make a connection in 2 ways. One is you have to make a connection to the country you're teaching in. In my case, that's Germany. And you also have to connect to authentic material. And when I say authentic material, I don't mean any material from around the world. I mean material that's actually relevant for these people you are teaching. So, authentic material, this can be a piece of writing, such as a contract or general terms and conditions. It can be a piece of legislation. Keep in mind, legislation is extremely important in civil law countries. They're reading this every day, and they have to explain it to their client. Why is this the case? You know, why is this the solution to your problem? Very often they have to consult just law. You know? And to a lesser extent, case law, but really to a lesser extent. Then, of course, think local. So make a connection to the country you're teaching in. What is important? What is office life like? It's not the same in every country. Yeah? A German lawyer worries maybe about other things than a Polish or a Russian lawyer. What about dispute resolution? Germany is a very litigious country. So spending an awful lot of time on arbitration and mediation doesn't make that much sense. I mean, you can do it, but you know, a lot of dispute resolution in Germany is really still the classic litigation. And then, are there any special features? Now I'm going to give you an example. When you think of money, money is important everywhere, even if you don't teach in Germany. So you come up with money, and there's always a cost risk when you consult a lawyer. And of course, the lawyer has to tell the client, you know, what the cost risk is. So you can introduce the topic of fees. Then, of course, you can distinguish court fees and lawyers' fees. And then you can introduce different kinds of fees. You can introduce the vocabulary and the terminology. You know, you can come up with different kinds of fees. In connection with fees, you can talk about a retainer. You can introduce fee agreements. In most countries, lawyers are required to draft written fee agreements and explain them to their clients. Now, this is very general. I think this can be transferred to many other countries. This is not particularly German. And when I say think local, make a selection within the diagram. Contingency fees are virtually non-existent in Germany. Flat rate fees are not very common. And court fees are pretty easily explained, pretty straightforward and non-negotiable. So they are not a big deal really. They can be explained very easily. This leaves me with a framework that I can work and expand on. Just to give you an example of thinking local. Very simple approach. When you draft situations, case studies, role plays, whatever, make a connection. So I have a guy here, he's just moved to Germany, and he has a special question, in this case on social security. He has a problem here. So this is one situation, very simple. Then, of course, you can incorporate an email, for example. So he presents his problem by email beforehand, and then he will come around and have an interview. Again, a connection to Germany, and he has a specific question. In fact, there is more in this email that actually triggers certain things in the German lawyer's mind that I can't expand on now, but you can incorporate that, you know, things that are really relevant for solving this case. I take it one step further. When I talk about authentic material, I give them the authentic material in German. Not always, but often. Because that's exactly what they have to do in their practice. They read German text, German laws, German court decisions, and they have to explain them to the clients in English. So I can come up with a situation in English or in German, but then I give them a piece of writing. In this case, it's an excerpt of general terms and conditions. Or I give them something completely in German, because when I give them something completely in English, what they do, 80% they just read what's in the role play. They read what's there, and they already have the vocabulary, but I want them to think and come up with words, terms that are important, you know, in this case. And even if they can't, if they don't have these words, they practice something which is vital to them. Paraphrasing. That's exactly what they have to do. If they don't have a face-to-face situation, they can't look things up. So if they don't have the vocabulary, they must explain somehow. So if they don't know these words, they have to explain them to the client in one way or another. Paraphrasing, very important skill. And then, of course, we have a situation for the other person alongside, again, general terms of conditions of a bank. Actually, these are real, I only changed the name of the bank. So I went online and I got GTC of the bank, and then I just changed the name of the bank and I got it in here. Another example, of course, court decision. German lawyers, they have a lot of court decisions, and actually they need to explain them to their clients as well. Yeah. So, just a few examples what I mean by using authentic material. You make them do exactly what they do in their practice. They think German, they read German, but they have to explain it in English. Okay? And then, of course, terminology. If there are official translations, you know, in times of Leo, you can get 30 translations for one word, or even more. But if there is something official, use it. In Germany, there are official translations for the German courts, actually put online by the foreign ministry. So, why don't we use these words? Instead, the dictionaries tell us courts from England, county court, magistrates court, or American district court, and these wonderful things. Yeah. Finally, some examples from our book, just 3 slides, because I'm going to talk about the book tomorrow. But tax professionals have very similar needs to legal professionals in terms of client interviews, you know. So this is also relevant for lawyers. They have to conduct client interviews, they have to elicit information, and they have to give advice. So just 3 examples from the book, I hope. That's too quick. Here we go. Okay. Of course, this is very special, but nevertheless. I chose a convention, also called a treaty, but there's a connection here. It's between the United States and Germany. You know, and then you can come up with a number of cases, and then you can do group work or whatever. You can give them, and then they have to present the results to the class, basically. A couple of cases connected to this particular convention. Case studies have been an established element in legal English course books for a very long time, even in business English course books. If you think about the market leader series, for example, loads of case studies in there. This is of course for accountants in the book. Here I did 2 things. I gave them something to work on, possibly in groups, and then there's also a writing task involved. You know, because it says brief Canadian Carter about your decisions in writing. And finally, make a connection again to the country you're teaching in when you provide useful information. Of course, types of businesses, but not just UK, US, include Germany as well. So they get the equivalents. They get the equivalents of corporate forms in Germany, then they have UK and US. And of course, you should also maybe make reference to things that don't exist outside Germany. Here it's the GmbH und Co. KG, which doesn't really exist in England or America, so people must be able to explain it. When a foreigner wants to set up a business in Germany and the lawyer goes through the different types of organizations he can choose, this is actually a very popular one in Germany. You know, it's very often actually recommended. Another example, talk about companies and affiliates. Choose something where you see uncertainty, and there's widespread uncertainty about the terms affiliate, associate, and subsidiary. Talk about it. Board of directors, another thing. 1-tier board in England and America, a 2-tier board, an executive board, and a so-called supervisory board in Germany. It's another system. In a common law board or an English board, you have executive and non-executive directors in one board. Yeah? In Germany, 2 separate boards. Interesting. And then, of course, all these C titles, Chief, CEO, CFO. Everybody knows that. Right. I think, yeah! Conclusions. 2 slides only. This is, I think, pretty exemplary for what German universities say about their language and law programs, how they define them. If you say it's just for academic purposes, it's fine. You can justify anything. But if you say universities are also there to prepare students for life after university and for the professional career, something is wrong. Not fundamentally wrong. It makes sense also to do these things. But something is wrong because something is missing, and this is a gap you have to bridge when you teach legal professionals in company. My final conclusions. Number one, calm down. Don't be as excited about ordaining as... No, don't expect your students to be as excited about ordaining as you are. Number two, make a connection to the country you are teaching. In order to do so, you have to familiarize yourself, of course, with the country you're teaching in, with the procedures, with office life. And then, of course, you have to develop and provide supplementary materials. This was Legal English. Goodbye. Thank you.